What is up, everybody? My name is Alex. Welcome to The Broth, most fun, serious show on the internet. We're here live in the cauldron. Hanging in this picture of heaven. Somebody posted this AI-generated picture of heaven on X, and I had a dream that I went to heaven, and it looked just like this. Swear to God. It was like this sort of carved into a cliff, Grand Canyon-esque. What I saw wasn't white like this, but it was like this. And there were like two spots, and there was the Father and the Son, and they were, in my dream, they were like trees. It was a life-changing dream, to be honest. So today is Saturday. And I normally don't work, but I did. So we're just gonna have a chill stream. I was noting that my X feed is pretty lit right now. It's kind of unusual lately. And also wanted to talk about something I found out about. This Community Relations Service, U.S. Justice Department. And what they have to do, possibly, with the very strange, forced-seeming responses that we've been getting from fathers of white children who are killed by black people. Because, go figure, something seems weird and like something is wrong, and it turns out the federal government is involved again. Now, this is under Trump, but, he did, he has kind of cut funding and stuff like that. Music is too loud, distracting me. Okay. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and then we're going to talk about the economy and this interesting 4chan post from a month ago. And yeah, the tariffs and stuff like that. And it should be a fun time. We're just going to hang out. If I really run out of content, I might play Magic the Gathering. It's a game that I like that the woke people have sort of ruined, but I play it sort of as based as you can. And I actually am interested in making a game like it, but that's like Millennial Kingdom, Catholic, trad, medieval, honor, and stuff. It'd be good for kids to have a game like that, because this game is awesome, but it's like black magic and wokeness and BS. But I enjoy beating people with my very wholesome, sort of Christian-oriented deck. Best I could do that. So yeah, first thing, I don't know if you saw this. This kid got killed. He got stabbed. And we've seen this before. Austin Metcalf. And his dad, I don't even know if the kid's buried yet, you know? And people say, like, everybody grieves differently, and like, okay, maybe, but
it's very unfortunate.
Like,
that this other child.
Tell me if this sounds organic or healthy way to respond to your child being stabbed to death. What, the day before this?
It's very unfortunate that this other child decided to make a bad choice that's going to affect him for the rest of his life. I have compassion for every human being. This is not, I want to make this very clear. This is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't want someone stepping up on a soapbox trying to politicize this. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online that people say there was this fight and they don't know, they weren't there. It's very unfortunate.
So we're feeling bad for this guy because he murdered somebody and is now going to face the consequences of it. Okay, I mean, feel however you want, but isn't that weird that he would say that so quickly? Like, that seems strange. Hey, Junkie. He was in your hometown, dang. Yeah, condolences to his family, especially his twin brother. It's absolutely brutal. I work with, I know, let's see, how should I say this? Because I respect their privacy. I know a family who's lost a kid to violence, and they were a triplet, and I know they're the other two triplets, and I can't imagine, man. A really awesome family too. He was a great kid. So yeah, you hate to see that stuff. That one was different, not racially, you know. Anyway, so I was kind of surprised, and then not surprised at all to find out that there's this government organization called the Community Relations Service, and they make it their business to go and talk to grieving parents when there's a crime that might be racially motivated. And they're supposedly here to keep the peace. And so they do stuff like, we don't really know. Our tax dollars pay for it, but I was trying to find information of like, what exactly do they tell these people? But they don't share that information with us. But if you've been paying attention, you've seen reactions like this before. And the reason that it pisses people off, it's like, okay, like, yeah, forgiveness is a good thing. But also, this is a problem. Like, first of all, it just seems really unhealthy to make any statement of like how the world should take this when you're still coming to terms with the fact you're not going to see the kid again. Like, my cat died, and it took me a couple days, you know, to really like be like, yep, dang, I'm really never going to see him again, you know. And I can't, like, that's nothing compared to this. But it's also upsetting because this stuff happens way too often, and there is a racial element to it, obviously. And if you doubt that, just look at what a lot of black people are saying on the internet about it, taking the side of the murderer, like, unabashedly. And so it's like, you know, can somebody have a spine and say this is unacceptable? Because, like, we actually do need something to change. We need law enforcement, mainly. We need not leniency. We need to make it clear in our society, most of all perhaps, that this is absolutely unacceptable, and that defending it is unacceptable, and that for people to have the attitude of that it's funny or cool or a good idea or anything to kill other, you know, just to kill white people because of their race. I mean, I'm seeing stuff like, you know, another white boy dead, like people celebrating literally. And so why is it's always the white people who are asked, it seems, to not make it about race. And part of that is, I mean, that's like more white people's nature. And if a federal government comes and tells a white person like, hey, we're really concerned about racial tension. There's been a lot going on lately. It would really help us if you would say some words about how this isn't about race or something. Then white people they have the tendency to care, you know, to listen to authority and stuff. So there's a stark contrast here where we'll see what he has to say. Normally I don't care what Crowder has to say, but I'm kind of curious. there's a stark contrast to it because apparently the same agency will go and talk to people like when George Floyd happened or what have you, and they seem just grossly unable to influence anybody when it's on that side, like catastrophic failure to contain the situation, if that's what they're there for. If they're there to keep the peace, catastrophic failure when it's a black person getting killed and when it's a white person getting... So it makes me wonder, I could see it being just that white people are more likely to kind of want peace also. But I wonder if it's worse than that. I wonder if this organization is treating the situation differently, in that they're putting pressure on this white guy grieving his child, and in the other, maybe not doing that, maybe even stoking tension. I mean, we know how evil the regime has been lately. Maybe they're even going into like a situation with a black person dead and intentionally making it worse. Or maybe just their ideology makes it worse. So I don't know. I just want to bring attention to this organization. And Chunky says, I get that forgiveness is what we need to harbor, but you can forgive the killer and also want persecution to the fullest extent of the law. Absolutely. Two things can be true at the same time. Yeah, you can forgive them in your heart in the they know not what they do sort of way. Like, obviously this young thug doesn't understand the value of life in the same way that you and I do. And we can have some sympathy for that this person, is condemning their soul based on an impulsive action and stuff like that. But we also we can't live like this. It's not reasonable to ask people to live like this. So yeah, I would love to see more digging into this. Who are these people? Because it just stinks to me. As soon as I heard this, I was like, this stinks. This seems... I feel like I've heard this before, Let me go turn this off. Like the people who... The government who let someone get away with putting pallets of bricks out for BLM. And the ideology behind that allowed that, I imagine, had their fingers in this, which has been around since the Civil Rights Act. And as anybody knows who's paying attention, racial tension has been worse, not better, generally, over that time. Maybe with the exception of the 90s in some ways. So, yeah, I wanted to bring people's attention to that. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about that was a little serious is this. The Trump tariffs. So something that's been confusing to me, and I've talked to a couple other people who've said the same, is the volatility in the approach. Now, we know Trump likes to kind of use, I think it's like a leftist tactic that he employs in a good way sometimes, which is like, he'll kind of throw a wrench in things, and then people don't know what to expect or what he's going to do, and he'll use that to his advantage. He'll cause a little chaos sometimes. But I've heard some valid criticisms with the tariffs that a lot of what's happening with the stock market was how the tariffs were rolled out. Now they're pretty set. But the month leading up to it, it was like, there's going to be these tariffs. No, there isn't. And we're talking about 10% on an item where the profit margin is 15%. It makes all the difference in the world if it's a 10% tariff or a 15% tariff. It can make business viable or not viable, and that creates chaos and is part of why the stock market has gone down. Now, mainly, I think the stock market situation is way overblown. People are posting that image of all the red, and it's like, if you look at the last year, this is like a small downturn. But the interesting thing is that it seems like this may have been intentional. So here we are, and yes, this is a downturn, but look at this. That's way worse. That was right after Biden. That was about this, a month earlier, 15 days earlier into the Biden administration. So of course they're blowing it out of the water, but Trump is supposed to be really good on the economy, and people have questions, and people are looking at his unclearness about the rollout of it as part of the reason for this. So this post is interesting, and I've seen this now from other people. I'll play another video too. Like, this isn't just coming from the the 5D chess trust the plan people. Like, I listened to what's his name, the Secretary of the Treasury, I believe it was, on Tucker today, from today or yesterday, and he was alluding to this as well. So listen to this. And by the way, the people who are against this are like the most annoying group of people ever. People with lots of money in the stock market that they have lots of money in the stock market, but they don't understand that like a brief downturn over, years is nothing. Like, if you're planning on retiring right now, wait 6 months before you pull money out. And the amount of people who, this has been going around, like, I don't know, like the top 4% own 86% of the stock market or something. So this isn't affecting most people, and to the extent it affected me is I had some money sitting in a Roth IRA retirement account that I didn't have invested, and I just invested it all yesterday, and my wife and I's retirement money. So we just bought the dip, so I got nothing to complain about. It says Trump is trying to crash the stock market at least 20%, causing a flight into treasuries. This was a 20% drop, by the way. Causing a flight into treasuries. This will cause the Fed to slash interest rates so he can refinance the debt to near 0% and cause a deflationary spiral, which will lower the cost of everything. He also intends to use tariffs as an incentive for companies to build in the U.S. to avoid having to pay them. The tariffs and the resulting global trade war will also force American farmers to sell more of their goods in the U.S. due to retaliatory trade measures by other countries. In other words, other countries will put trades on our importing the things they're importing from us, including food, so the farmers will be incentivized to sell locally, which will directly lower the price of groceries in the U.S. More than 94% of stock, here's the actual number here, more than 94% of all stock is owned by just 8% of the population. Trump is literally taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor. This is why Trump is playing the game of hokey pokey with the tariffs. One day he has 25% tariffs on Mexico, the next day he doesn't. This is to cause extreme volatility in the markets and a desperate need and demand to flee towards treasury bonds. So treasury bonds are just a much more stable investment. So if you manage billions of dollars worth of cash and the stock market's going all over the place, it would be prudent of you to just move a ton of that money into the much more stable treasury bonds, which are much more stable but offer a lower potential return. This is why eggs are cheaper now than they were under Joe Biden. So that's interesting. So in other words, if the stock market is volatile and if it's going down, people want to move their money into treasury bonds. Demand for treasury bonds will cause the Fed to lower interest rates. Trump does not have control over interest rates in the Fed, which some people think is like insane and other people think it's good policy. I think there's a lot of problems with how the Fed is run independently from the government. We don't have a say in how it's run. I think it's pretty crazy. But he can he can kind of force their hand by doing this, according to this at least. Now I saw something else. There's a video that Trump put on his Truth Social. This.
Trump is crashing the stock market by 20% this month, but he's doing it on purpose. And this is why Warren Buffett just said Trump is making the best economic moves he's seen in over 50 years. Now, here's the secret game he's playing, and it could make you rich. So why is he doing this? To push cash into treasuries, which forces the Fed to slash interest rates in May, and those lower rates give the Fed the ability to refinance trillions.
It kind of seems like whoever made this video is just reading that post.
Of debt very inexpensively. It also weakens the dollar and drops mortgage rates. Now, it's a wild chess move, but it's working. Now, you're probably wondering, what about his tariffs? Well, I'll tell you, it's a genius play. It actually forces companies to build here to dodge them. It also forces farmers to sell more of their products here in the U.S. to bring grocery prices way down. We've already seen this with eggs. Now, remember, 94% of all stocks are owned only by 8% of Americans. So Trump, he's taking from the rich short term and handing it to the middle class through lower prices.
But like I said, the Treasury Secretary on Tucker today, or maybe it was yesterday.
Mr. Secretary, thank you very much.
Should be able to find it. I enjoyed this. Let's see here. Tariff pushback. I guess I need the transcript.
So I'll tell you, I came in, I was confirmed on January 28th. And during the month of January, 10-year interest rates, which is probably the most important rate in the country, mortgages are based on that. Business and capital formation is based on that. You know, I came in and that had almost spiked to 5%. And I think 5% can be an uncomfortable area for the economy, for Treasury, who has to issue a lot of bonds. And you know, now that I've gotten in, I worry a little less, but I still worry. We've got a tremendous amount of debt to roll. And I worry that we aren't going to do the smart cuts and the focus on waste, fraud, and abuse. I worry that that gets sidelined. And then on the other side, I worry that the tax bill somehow gets bogged down. We could have the largest tax increase in history. Or, you know, I worry that the normal geopolitical things, whether it's Iran, Taiwan, that something goes haywire between Russia and Ukraine.
Not really the part I wanted. Yeah, I don't know. At the beginning, I mentioned Chunky. It's just going to be a chiller. So, yeah, let's check out what, back to the tragic
Which kind of dad do you want to emulate? Hey, which kind of dad do you want to have clout to affect political change? You lived through the Black Lives Matter riots, right? You know the end result of the policy changes, the defunding police, the catch and release, the no cash bail. We lived through that. how do we want to structure our society? What do we want it to look like? It's very clear where the media lines up. It's very clear where your intelligence agencies, where your three-letter agencies line up. And to me, it's very clear how you, the American people, by the way, of all races, line up. That's what I notice with this. That's the dynamic I see. Now let's move on to something a little bit more technical and a little less heavy.
Yes.
If you guys have anything to add, but I think
it's hard. It's just hard to talk about something like that. You know, your heart breaks. The whole situation.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely terrifying as a father.
Respect to that father too, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a better man than I am. I wouldn't have such words to say.
Yeah, especially so quickly after. I mean, but that's what somebody's faith can do. It literally can be the bedrock in your life. And unfortunately, that bedrock was tested in this man's life. But obviously, he looked at this. There was another clip, and he was talking about a sweet moment with his son. And it's, again, hard to talk about this because I have kids. And you imagine them in these scenarios, and it makes you angry. And he's talking like, hey, it's not goodbye. It's I'll see you later. Mm-hmm. It's a different thing.
And don't...
Junkie says, let's take race out of it. The whole point is that it has some aspect of racial tensions. Yeah, like, how about, what if we don't, for once? What if, from our side, for 5 minutes, we don't take it immediately out? You know? Like, I think we're capable of having a conversation without encouraging violence, at least on our side. I don't know. I was confused because I thought where he was going with this was we lived through BLM. So I guess he was saying we lived through BLM. We don't want race riots again. But like only one side does that. Like one of the races do that all the time, whether it's like remotely justified or whether somebody who points guns at pregnant women's bellies dies of an overdose. On the white side, it doesn't happen. So what I thought he was going to say is, I think we're all feeling like the government is stoking racial tensions in one direction. And that, like, what kind of dad do you want to emulate? I want the dad who is protective, who looks at his other two kids, or one kid, whatever it is, and goes, what has to be done to make sure that these other kids are safe? And it doesn't need to be like a cartoon, you know, it doesn't need to be vigilantism or anything like that. It could just be a conversation about why is this happening? So yeah, disappointing. I mean, it's not surprising from Crowder. But I did think he was going somewhere else with it. Like a bad choice. A bad choice is like, you know, I don't know, like an extreme bad choice would be like, I had too much to drink and drove and got in an accident and killed somebody. Like, stabbing someone to death over like a minor, I don't even know what happened exactly, but it's just barbarism. And then the kid, the murderer's dad, is saying his son wasn't the aggressor. Freaking insane. On the white side, this argument would have been resolved by, at most, a yelling match. Yeah. Alright, well... let's just hang out and see what else is going on. What is Elon talking about?
Yes. The mass immigration is insane and will lead to the destruction of any country that allows unfettered mass immigration. That country will simply cease to exist. At the end of the day, it is a numbers game, a numbers situation. If there are 8 billion people in the world, and let's say you're a country...
This music is too boring. It's interesting that Elon is like, is this guy schizo or is there something else going on? Because wasn't he telling people that he was going to F their face if they disagreed with him about H-1Bs? Like, he's kind of talking out of two sides of his mouth. Is he, what, for what, though? See how that goes.
Of, 50 million, 60 million, or, for a medium-sized country, but even for a country like the United States, which is 350 million, given that there are 8 billion people in the world, it only takes a few percent of the rest of the world to move to the country to where it is no longer that country.
What up, friendly?
A country is not its geography. A country is its people. This is a fundamental concept that is truly obvious. I mean, if you took the people of Italy and you teleported the people of Italy to, say, some part of the United States, it would still be Italy. But if you teleported a bunch of people from some other part of the world to Italy, where they're telling people no longer because they've been teleported to America, then the region, the geographic region, would no longer be Italy. It would be that other country. A country is its people, not its geography.
Based. No magic soil. I just read that on Twitter. I just read that on Twitter yesterday. I just read this. I just was looking at this frog account, and they said a country, there's no magic soil. A country is its people.
Yes.
I mean, no, he's right. It's true. It's just curious what's up with the H-1Bs. Like, because what he just said didn't make any distinction for legal versus illegal, and he's right. I mean, it is. Yeah, Nick Fuentes made the good point that on one hand, people that come over illegally are demonstrating a, at best, apathy towards the law, which is a problem. They say your first act as an American is to break the law. True. That's bad. That makes that group of people a group of people you don't want. But he says you also have people who have educations and come here to take good jobs, and that those people are replacing your elite. And in a sense, it's even worse because those are the people who end up with influence. And you can have sort of an army of like day laborers or whatever, and it'll have an impact. A lot of the times those people will be add to crime and stuff like that. But either way, it's bad for Americans. This looks funny. I don't know what this is.
What the fuck? What the fuck? That's Jews. Jews did that. Only a Jew could think of that. A Jew or an Indian. White person would never do that to you. A white person.
I feel like I'll get my account flag just for having him, like they'll signature his voice or something. But relatable. Here's something not relatable. Why men should give their wives a cheap pass for Christmas. Who comes up with this? Who would do this? Who is that? And why is it every time with them? What the hell? Alright, we're going to skip that. Fauci is saying he's going to kill us all again.
What is likely to happen, I don't know if it's going to be next year or 10 years or 15 or 20 years from now, is the emergence of another respiratory disease. It may be another coronavirus, because we know that coronaviruses
who's he looking over there?
Mostly in bats have the capability of binding to receptors that are in humans. It could be another flu. We're dealing with H5N1 now, which is bird flu, which has taken the somewhat disturbing
if you
step
can hear me, Cash
of
Patel, if
infecting
you can hear me,
mammals, namely cows and cats
please do
and other
something.
mammals, which means it's adapting itself more to a human.
Still
So
going
my
with this
concern,
ridiculous
Walter, is
bat.
that whenever that happens, the next outbreak will be of a respiratory disease that's easily transmissible.
What
that
I
has a
think is
significant
going to
degree of-
happen is a chinchilla is going to eat a flying squirrel, and we're going to make a lot of money. Fucking guy. Oh yeah, this looks interesting.
When Putin came to power, almost all Russian billionaires were Jews who wanted to control him, such as Berezovsky, who was the main person behind his presidency, or Khodorkovsky, the richest man in Russia back then. He publicly accused Putin of corruption on live TV. That's when Putin realized that if he didn't get rid of potential rivals, they would overthrow him. So he first got rid of Gusinsky, the Russian billionaire with Jewish roots who controlled the media in Russia. Then Berezovsky, the man who helped him to become a president. And finally, Khodorkovsky, who had most of the money. The rest of them surrendered willingly to save their fortune and, most importantly, their lives. When Putin came to power, almost all Russian billionaires.
I wonder if Trump took any notes on from him on this issue. Vladimir, what did you do about the you-know-who? It's simple. You have to hit them where it hurts. And that started when Putin started good, and then it fell off pretty quick. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah, this is exactly the kind of forest Chupacabra likes to hide in.
You think Chupacabra is here?
Pretty sure Chupacabra was here.
Okay, maybe we scared it off.
You can't scare a Chupacabra, Butters. Don't forget, we're dealing with a creature that drinks blood, hides in the night, and has absolutely no belief in the divinity of Christ. Did you hear that? I'm gonna try a Chupacabra mating call now. No Christ! No Christ! I'm really not buying this whole Christ thing! He's here somewhere.
Oh God, I'm scared.
Jesus is a lie!
Eric, stop it!
Shh, help me call it out, Butters.
I'm not saying Jesus is a lie.
Butters, do you want to catch Chupacabra on camera or not? There is no Christ!
Jesus is a lie!
No way Jesus was son of God, huh, Butters?
Nope, I don't think Christ has any basis in reality.
Shh, you hear that?
Oh, hamburgers!
Oh yeah, this is exactly the kind of forest Chupacabra likes to hide in.
You think Chupacabra...
Oh man. Why is this lady
Off. You piss me the fuck off.
Okay. I feel like she's mad.
You don't
she
belong
looks like
here.
that.
This hateful doesn't belong here. And all of y'all that believe this, get your heads on straight. You are reason why we are falling apart as a fucking country.
Okay.
And I don't want to hear. Oh, do
What's
you know
that?
the percentage of that happens every fucking day?
Didn't.
I don't want that.
Doesn't matter. You came to me. We're in a public area.
Okay, so should I break the camera then?
Give me a break.
You piss me the fuck off.
Oh lordy. Is this real? I feel like this is like footage of something else, and they just are calling it this.
Yesterday, Israel announced zero tariffs on any American goods. The Trump administration hit them with a 17% tariff anyway, claiming that they had a 33% tariff rate on American goods, which clearly is not true. Why? Because it turns out that we buy more stuff from the Israelis than the Israelis buy from us. Shocker, they're a smaller country. We're a giant market. Not a giant shock, as it turns out. So this is pretty crazy. I have friends, for example, who import product to the United States and then sell them. Why? Because they can't get the product in the United States. So for example, I have a friend who's in the jewelry business. And this friend in the jewelry business imports products that are not capable of being manufactured or found in the United States from abroad. So it's not like there's import substitution you can just buy from an American. That's not how it works. This, by the way, this company is an American company. The tariff that is now being applied to all of his imports is like 35, 40%. Those prices will get passed directly on to the consumers. Consumption goes down. Investment goes down because investors...
Are you guys prepared for jewelry to go up? I mean, I hope not. 17%
are freaked out
was,
because they're getting whipsawed like
conspicuous.
nobody's business. Again, I was talking with investors pretty much all day yesterday, given what was going on.
How do we make
the
America
number one
great
thing that
again
I was
without
hearing from
Israeli
major
jewelry?
investors is, I don't know what the hell is going on. That was the number one thing. Before and after. The amount of confusion, chaos in the markets, a feeling of complete dyspeptic ulcer-ridden kind of churn, that is very real, and that is not good for markets. Yesterday is...
Does that make you guys friendly? Make you a little more bullish on Trump? What's this? Yikes. I don't even need to say anything here. It would be cool if he was throwing the gauntlet down. Ron Paul says tariffs are an act of war. Yeah. I hope so. That's what people were posting, like, Candace Owens says Trump is a Jewish puppet. And my response was just like, I hope he proves her wrong. I can see where she's coming from. Name a historic battle. Should I play video games or should I just go stop? I got nothing today. We're having fun though. Good to see you guys hanging out. I'm glad you guys could hang out for a Saturday show. I know you guys agree. I know. I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise at this point. Yeah, let's just play a video game. I'll show you my woke video game and how annoying it is, but how awesome it is also. I was telling Friendly that I like the idea of making a game that's similar to this, but based in Cathpilled and like Millennial Kingdom. And I started to play it the most like that I can. So if you don't know this game, there's 5 colors that represent different types of different vibes, basically. So white is like health and goodness, kind of holiness. So I play with a white deck. And then black is like death and evil. Red is like fire and orcs and mountains. They each have like plains, mountains. And yeah, I think there could be really a market for making a game like this, but it's all, there's saints and kings and popes and angels, and could be freaking awesome. I have to move my ability to see the chat. There we go. So my deck is a cat deck. All the creatures are just cats. And I finally got it so it like really kicks ass. Because that's kind of a hard restriction to put on yourself. But yeah, I'm probably going to totally wreck this prison. Bible quotes for sure. Relics. I was thinking you play as like a ethnicity. You play as like the Germanics or the Franks, the Anglos. So then you have like your saints that are of that people that you could play. Son of a... This game is pretty sick though. Not gonna lie. I used to play this game as a card game like way before the video game came out when I was a kid, like when I was 10 years old. In the early days. And so this game has been around for like 25 years, maybe more. I guess that applies to music because this has its own music. Even though those chants were awesome. But yeah, it's a very woke company, like extremely woke company. So like, I feel like that would make there be more of a market because like everybody's gay in it now. Like, you know, like all the stuff that you hear about where like the women in the cards used to be attractive and now they're not and all that stuff. And then also it's just, there's too much stuff mashed together, like it just being a strong theme would be really nice. Circular, yeah. Kind of sick though, right? I don't know how fun it is on your guys' end, but I'm having a blast over here. Feel free to recommend something that I could talk about. What? Oh, come on. This is one of those games like I'm positive people are throwing their screens through windows and stuff. Because it can be, what? Why didn't he die? But when you get like a really good game going, it's like freaking awesome. Nice. Vibing with the rain and the hangout. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, I have to tap with that for that to work. This is my little companion fox thing. How you got a fox too? leopard fox or something. Alright, these people are giving me a little more run for my money than they might have. We got a game. The weather's been crazy here. We've had like mostly sunshine, and then the other day was sunny and hailing at the same time, and then it was snowing big huge snowflakes, and it was like 80 degrees the next day during the day, and then it was freezing last night. It's just been wild. Yeah, I'll play this one game and then get out of here. And I'll have a little something more prepared next time. But it's fun to just hang out. There's no pressure, you know? Payla got a DS Lite. That's cool. I've been thinking about getting like my wife and I are talking about getting an N64 or something, or a GameCube. We like the old school Nintendo stuff. How many cards they have in their hand? How did this even happen? So like the cards all have abilities, and so then you have cards together where like the ability of one card triggers the abilities of the other card. So like you create these triggering effects where a bunch of stuff happens. So like with all cats, there's a bunch of cards that do stuff. Like it's called like tribal effects. So like a card, you know, all cats get +1/+1 or whatever. It's pretty even right now. They got better creatures. Yeah, they're ahead now. Son has a PS4. I want to buy him Final Fantasy X so I can play it. Yeah, do it. Well, that sucks. Not bad. I should, like, I guess, be reading all of these cards and finding out what they all do, but it's kind of more fun. Like, you can just play way faster. Oh, crap, I'm dead. Dang. Alright, that was a good game, though. I'll play one more. Play one more. No pressure to stick around. Yeah, it kind of depends on your deck and your style of playing and stuff of like, do you need to know everything that's happening? But you need to pay attention enough. So, like, you play lands, and your lands are, like, your energy, your, like, resources. So, this card takes 2 and 2 suns at the top. It's like 4 lands that you need to have to play that. Really? Yeah, I can see Sam Hyde playing this. He's like, I feel like we're like the same age. He would have been, it is pretty addictive. I feel like we would have been on a similar vibe in middle school. We probably would have been both playing this. Still playing it. It is kind of addictive because like I said, like you'll have games where it's frustrating and nothing happens. But then when you get like a really good game, it like goes crazy. You know, I've ended up with, like, you start with 20 life points. I've ended up with over 1 million life points in a game before. Just crazy stuff will happen. So you like want that good game to happen. So it's pretty easy to like spend an extra hour because you like didn't have a good game more than you meant to. But I mean, that, I don't know. That's kind of like any fun game though. This is like phenomenal combination here. This card, every time I gain life, this creature gains that much more like attack and defense for how much life you gained. And so then the heart means it gain whenever I attack. However much damage I deal, I gain that much life. So I can basically double the size of this creature every time it attacks and doesn't get killed. That's how I ended up with 1 million life. Is somebody had an indestructible creature, so I just kept ramming it every turn. And so that it's, you know, like gigabytes, right? It's like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32... 64, 128, just all the way. You always quit right before the best game, right? Keep gambling your life away. The art in these are pretty cool too. I was thinking, like, if to make this game, you could use AI for like just to get it off the ground, like the first edition. Wouldn't need that much money, and use AI for all the cards, and then like make a commission some amazing artists to make a second edition. It would be like a huge selling point on the second one. Would be like make the art awesome AI art, but still, you know, it's AI art. But then on the second one, it could be like, yeah, this time we got like Jonathan Pageau or whatever. And I love that I can have a cat deck. My friend's kid, who's like, oh, I think he was like 9 or 8 when I saw him last. He's super into this, so we'll play when I go see them. And I was telling him about my cat deck. He's like, "You're obsessed with cats." I'm like, "Cats are cool, bro." See, my problem now is I only have 3 land, and I'm not picking up any more, and all these cards need 4 or 5, except for this one, which destroys all the creatures, which I don't want to do because they have a good creature situation. But I'm still in good shape, because apparently they're having problems. So that could be something that we could address in a new game, would be like have the land be more dual use, because a lot of times you'll get like, sometimes you'll get nothing but land and it sucks. So if the land had some other use in addition to like being a resource, then that could be cool. And you'd have to change it a bit too. It can't just be this game, but with different stuff. What the hell was that? Omnath, Locus of Creation. It enters, draw a card. Whenever land, you gain 4 life. Or add mana. If it's the 3rd time, do 4 damage to each opponent. And Planeswalker. Alright, that's going to be a problem. Potentially. Yeah, they're cooking now. Whoa! I think that was a major mistake there, bud. You just lost yourself the game. I killed every creature but my giant one. Alright, well that was fun. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out. And Sunday, no show. I'll be back Monday. Really appreciate you guys supporting the show. It is pretty awesome. So, hope you guys have a great weekend. Have a great church